All right, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of the Top Fly Pod. Of course, here back on screen today, beautiful Austin, Texas. Now, back by demand because the people asked for him. We got My G Huddy, ATX News, and of course, I had to bring My G Tucker, We're Austin TV correspondent. Helps us out a lot covering this team. Got the Chelsea blue jersey and the Chelsea flag in the background, but it is what it is. We're going to talk about Austin FC. We got a lot to talk about here today. We're going to try to get into some Club World Cup topics. Got Byron in the background there from IG Huddy, but let's introduce the lads. Huddy, back by popular demand. How are you doing, bro?
Man, I'm doing great. You know, game wasn't great, but there's a lot to look forward to. So, still feeling all right.
Of course, you got Beloko. You got some contract terminations that we're going to get into. I mean, a lot of Austin FC topics for the pod today. But with that, we'll roll into the gentleman wearing blue, looking like Mudrik himself, but no problems with doping. My G Tucker, how you doing, bro?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. I'm excited to talk about this. I think the highs of the Chelsea game that happened kind of smoothed out the low of the Austin game, but we'll talk about it because it was a bad performance.
Hey, Chelsea coming in clutch for you, mate. Coming in clutch for you at
Yeah,
this Club World
yeah,
Cup when Austin FC hasn't been able to, provide,
yeah, yeah.
right? No, but of course, I want to send a shout out to everybody that's on Patreon, everybody that's on the Discord chat. The conversations today went wild. You had a roller coaster of information, of emotions. There was a contract termination. There was a new signing that was announced. There was VERDE smoke. There was so much going on today. And of course, coming off of the Seattle loss, let's try to unpack everything in one show. So we got My G Huddy from ATX News. If you haven't, make sure to hit a follow for him on social media helping us cover Austin FC, this community cover Austin FC. So make sure to give him a follow there. And of course, shout out to Mikey Tucker. But all right, guys, let's get in here. Now, I want to start off with Nicky Beloko because, of course, that's kind of the freshest thing on everybody's mind right now. Everybody that's going to tune into the pod probably wants to know about Nicky Beloko and what we think about the new signing, right? Well, let's start off of what happened in the morning. Now, in the morning, Tom Bogert, Tommy Scoops himself, he chimes in on the conversation. He kind of makes it Tom Bogert official, right? We know what kind of weight his tweets have in MLS. He says, sources, Austin FC have completed a deal to sign midfielder Nicky Beloko. Beloko, 25, joins on a free transfer contract through 2028 with option for 2029. Most recently with Luzern in Switzerland, where he was a regular starter, former Swiss youth international. Now, there was a little bit of information that came from Verde France, I believe it was last week, where they said that they possess information where they were told that it was around a 4-year contract. We kind of see that right here. Of course, there is an option there. But just our initial thoughts before we get into some more stuff that we have here from the press release from Austin FC. I got to start off with My G Tucker, bro. What did you think about this signing? Nicky Beloko. I know it's not something that hit the fan base by surprise. He himself was sharing things on his social media, right? People already expected this one, but it's finally here. It's official. How did you see all of this, mate?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of knew this was happening since very early in the season. I think it was like March when all of this like information started to come out. It was really early, but I mean, they picked a very, very smart time to drop it because the fan base was all yelling about how bad we are. But I think he's going to turn out to be a great, like a game-changing player. Which I mean, we'll talk about more like what type of player he is in a second. But he's going to be a great signing.
100%. Now, of course, we got to get Huddy's thoughts on this signing. Nicky Beloko, I mean, just first initial reaction to Nicky Beloko. Well, the official reaction, right?
I mean, good player from what I've seen, but everybody looks good in highlight reels. He's definitely a tall player, which I think we need in the midfield. We got Sabovic, right? But everybody else in our midfield, Dubrsarski, Pereira, Wolf, kind of short. So we needed someone to bring the height there. And then he's also his stats like indicate that he's like much more of a defensive guy, but from what I've seen, he looks to be able to contribute in the offense as well. And I mean, 86 matches for Luzern, and he sometimes he plays holding mid, but most of the time center mid. And then he's also made a few appearances out wide too, and then also at cam just a few times. But I think he's definitely going to be versatile, and then he's definitely taking a senior spot. I mean, not a senior spot, a starting spot, right off the bat. As soon as he starts training tomorrow, I think he's already in Austin. I mean, this has been going on forever, and he's gonna be starting almost right off the bat. First time we can see him is against DC, that away game on the 26th. But I think by mid-July, he's locked in starter.
Correct. Now, Hoodie, just like you mentioned, he can train tomorrow, right? That was in the official press release for the Austin FC drop. He has his P1 visa. He could start training July 1st, right? So these are all good things, right, to an Austin FC fan, because in the past there's been times where the signing is announced, but it's going to take 3 weeks to a month, maybe 2 months for this guy to get his visa, get incorporated to the team. But this is announced, and boom, he can hit the ground running. Now, you mentioned about him possibly being in Austin, following the official, not the official, but the go-to realtor for the players that signed for Austin FC. I believe his name is Andres Bustamante, if I don't get that wrong. He was already, he actually just posted today some maybe behind-the-scenes stuff of helping Nicky Beloko get find his place, his home here in Austin. So for sure, he's probably here. For sure, he's already ready, to get to work, to hit the ground running. Because like you guys are saying, this has been developing forever. VERDE Nation has been on this. There's been reports from overseas that have, been coming out. Everybody has kind of just been expecting this, but like we've mentioning, it's now official, right? But if we get into some history of Beloko, we also have to keep in mind that he's a dual citizen of Switzerland and Cameroon, right? His history, says here that he spent the majority of his youth career in the academy system of Swiss club FC Sion, making his professional debut at the age of 17. He spent some time at the Italian Serie A side, Fiorentina, in 2018, and went on to record 5 goals and 5 assists in 41 appearances, is what the press release says. Now, apparently, his performances with Fiorentina, second team, saw him earn a appearance at the senior level, playing 45 minutes in a Serie A match against Sassuolo in 2019. Now, getting a little bit of more information on this guy, Tucker. I mean, if you want to go a little bit more into depth on how you feel about this signing, where is he going to line up? And, I think folks want to, Huddy kind of hinted on it, that he's coming for a starting spot. He's going to have his starting spot. But whose starting spot is he going to take, Tucker? Because there's no vacancies right now, mate.
Yeah, I think right now it's hard to drop, especially because coming back from that injury, Danny's been really good just in like terms of ball progression. He's been really good. I think right now it's going to be between him and Sabovic, which sucks because, I mean, Sabovic has been really good. I mean, our midfield in the last 5 games have been really good, but his defensive capabilities, just he can run a midfield completely on his own. And I know it's just a highlight reel, and to be honest, trying to find a highlight reel for this game has felt like I've had to go to the dark web to find it because it's been ridiculous. But I mean, he looks like a good player, not only stat wise, he can win tackles in the midfield. He can cut off attacks. He can distribute. He's gonna start. He's gonna be an out and out starter. So it's between Sabovic, Owen, and Danny to really just, make sure I'm the guy that needs to be starting over one or the other. It's going to create healthy competition.
Of course, and that's what a successful team definitely needs to have, competition in that midfield. Danny Pereira, Owen Wolf. If they had trouble at the beginning with Salovic, Ilya Sanchez also being there, he comes into this equation as well. Dubersarski, he's also somebody that you also have to think about moving forward. But with all that we're talking about, Tucker and Huddy, I'm gonna go with Maggie Hudson here. Is this a signing that Austin FC needed to make right now? You think that this is addressing the problems that the team has? Or do you think this is building up to, maybe something in the future that people will see later on why this signing was made? Because Rodo has been talking about this guy for a very long time, months, saying that, we have this guy, he's under wraps, he's just not here yet, kind of keeping it on the down low. It's been building for months. Is this a signing they needed to make right now, Hudson? What did you think about that question?
That's a definitive no. I mean, we already have 6 midfielders, and we have 3 center backs. One that's hardly even good and taking up so much money in Cascante. And we really need a cam too. But just in general, though, this signing doesn't make sense unless we're going to sell sell someone later on this window. It could be Owen, it could be Danny, but another thing, I was listening to the North End podcast. They thought that maybe Ilie would be calling it quits mid-season. So far out, big stretch, but maybe that could be a thing.
I think Ilie was like the filler signing for this. I think Roto probably had signing Beloko at the beginning of the season, and he just needed someone to fill in the gap between, the start of the season and the summer transfer window. And Ilie on a free transfer is that filler signing.
No, and also Ilie he said himself that Austin FC was going to be his last MLS club. So is he maybe looking for a return to Spain and maybe a lower La Liga side or maybe even a second division side, right? Just being respectful to the man's career. You just know he's not going to get like a hefty designated player's contract like he would have in the past in his career. It's just the reality of where he's at in his career. He's had a very successful career. I just finished the podcast today that he did with Vamos Verde. The way that he explains his journey was actually pretty beautiful, and I highly recommend you guys go check out the podcast that he did with him. There's a part 2 coming out next week, so keep an eye out for that. Mentioned his time with Luis Enrique in Barcelona's B side, and it's funny, it's weird how the universe works, because just today Ilie Sanchez shared a video of Luis Enrique talking about the best time of Luis Enrique's career was when he was coaching that Barcelona B side, which had a very young Ilie Sanchez. And the world, people say, oh, Austin is so small. Man, the world is so small. You know what I'm saying? The world is so small. But anyways, guys, back to this guy Beloko. We're talking about the fact that there could be some departures, or maybe even, the guys at North End, maybe Ilie calling it quits or whatnot. Maybe that option isn't picked up, creating room for a guy like Nicky Beloko. But maybe it's a sale. And I'm looking at Danny Pereira, not because of, I want to sell Danny because he's been bad. No. Because he's an asset, and because you can sell him, and because you can sell it to somebody for a profit. Let's remember that Danny Pereira came out on a super draft, so on a pretty much freebie, nothing, right? You just give him the money that you've been paying, that he's been rightfully earning. But to me, guys, and I'll get you guys' takes, it seems to me as if Danny Pereira's agency, his sports agency, is also making moves on social media where it's pointing at, hey, I have this player, other clubs, take a look at him. What do you think about him? Is he somebody that you could use on your team? And it's not just been the videos that were posted in recent days. There's been dinners where his agent is coming to Austin. They're not located in Austin. They're not located anywhere near in Austin. So the fact that they're coming to visit Danny and have these nice dinners, what does it mean? Player agents talking to guys. Something is brewing. Something is cooking. And we have to remember that Danny could have left at the beginning of the season or last year. I think he didn't do Austin FC a favor, but he definitely signed another year, just like, all right, I'll stay one more, but you got to pay me. And which we did. Austin FC did pay Danny Pereira. But do you guys agree with me that the sale could be Danny Pereira instead of Owen Wolff?
Yeah, I think it makes the most sense. I think Owen right now is still young. And I mean, right now he's having, his best season of his career, but stats wise, he's still not there. Like he's still, it's been a career changing season for him, but he still only has 4 assists and no goals. Right. So he's still building. Danny, there's been interest from the championship before from him. This is we've had offers for him. And then I think it might've been 2 years ago or a year, at the beginning of in the 2024 winter off season, there were interest from other MLS clubs. Those were rumors going around. This isn't the first time Danny's been on the market, and he signed the contract extension. We could get good money from him. We could probably get a solid $4 million from him, and $4 million could be enough to pay for a 10 or a left wing that we need. You know what I mean? So I think not that Danny's been bad, but I think if we're selling someone, it makes the most sense to sell him.
Couldn't agree more. And I think Huddy would want to add something on here, because we were talking about this topic off air. And Huddy, you mentioned something about Owen Wolff that I always say that people just forget about Owen and the salary. If you want to kind of go in on that, man, why would you keep Owen instead of Danny? You would sell Danny, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Danny's hitting our salary cap at over 500,000, and Owen's hitting the salary cap at a whopping 0. And that's all the way until 2027 with an option for 2028. I mean, I'd say they're probably both equally as valuable on the team, and one of them contributes nothing to the salary cap in a league where the salary cap matters a whole damn lot.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it makes a lot more sense to sell Danny. But Danny, his contract is up at the end of the year with a club option, but that's going to mean that we can't sell him for quite as much as we could for Owen. And also, I think if we're going to get rid of him, it's probably most likely going to be somewhere in MLS. I mean, with the injury, he's definitely not like a high profile player for overseas clubs, and the MLS clubs would have definitely more knowledge on him than I think. More likely than not, he's staying here in MLS,
do you
not in
think
Austin.
Hard disagree.
do you think he could maybe slot in somewhere in Libertadores? Maybe compete in a team like Romagna went to San Lorenzo and he's playing quality games down there, right? In a team that they're actually having problems with paying their players, and that's one of the things about MLS. Their checks are never late, right? So as soon as you leave this league, even in places like Europe, there's sometimes in Portugal where guys get paid late. But that's a whole nother topic. But Tucker, you disagreed that Danny would stay in MLS. I think I'm with you. I don't see him in MLS. I think he wants to get out of this league entirely. Why do you say that?
Look, I mean, not only is he a quality player to play, I'm not going to say he could be a Premier League starter, but he could go play in Portugal. He could go play in the Netherlands. He could go play in France. And there's been interest to Championship before. I don't remember which club it was off the top of my head.
Coventry.
Yeah. There was a $4 million offer on the table, and we didn't take it. There's interest from Europe before, and he is a quality player. Just the way he moves the ball up the pitch. Obviously, if you're just looking at stats wise, it's not there. But if you actually watch him play, he takes the ball from one end of the pitch and gets it to the box. And he does it consistently. And that's very big in Europe, especially the way they play over there, especially in maybe Portugal. If he wanted to go play there, I could see him thriving in Portugal, especially because I think MLS is starting to get towards the level of the Portuguese league. I think that would be a good stepping stone for him, especially if he wants to go even further in his career, maybe to Spain or England.
Hudson, let's put Tucker to the ultimate test. Would you take Danny Pereira at Chelsea?
No.
Was that for me or for Tucker?
No, for Tucker.
I thought that was for Hudson.
No, you wouldn't?
I wouldn't take him.
Yeah,
okay.
I was confused.
Okay. Okay. All right, fair. You know what? I see maybe the possibility of the Eredivisie, Netherlands. We've seen a lot of guys, from this area of the world be able to try it out there. Now, I'm not just talking about the U.S. men's national team players, but in the past, there's been a lot of Mexican national team players that at a young age, they've been tried out in these, Netherlands sides, those lower league European sides that still make Champions League. They still make Champions League, right? They still have their spot. But, we kind of went a little bit on a tangent. We know that there's got to be some kind of departure coming soon, right? With the addition of Nicky Beloko. I feel like we kind of agree that maybe is a signing that we didn't have to make. But I also want to add one thing before we go on to the Seattle Sounders game, because, we do got to talk about that, right? There was a comment that was left on the Instagram post that we posted up on the signing of Nicky Beloko, where the account says that it's not the right kind of message that you're sending to your academy players, your Austin FC2 players, when you're packing the midfield with guys that you're bringing from overseas. And yeah, they're free transfers. You can hang your hat on that, sure. But you have the likes of, they mentioned Michael Burton, they mentioned Urban Torres. And you know what? I'll even throw in Jorge Alastoe into the players that I'd like to see be tried out with the first team from the second team side. But I want to get your guys' take. I'll get Hudson's first. Do you think that maybe that comment was cooking? You think that Urban Torres or Michael Burton, they could maybe fill the gaps that a guy like Beloko or the guy after Beloko could be filling? Because there's been other teams where they promote from within. Why isn't Austin doing that?
I really have no idea. I mean, our second team is rather useless at this point. We won Next Pro, and a whopping 0 players got promoted, got any minutes, hardly. I mean, probably our most valuable player there, Losses, has been on loan for the past 2 seasons. And I mean, we see it with teams like Philly and Columbus. They promote their players. Well, guess what they do? They win, and they win some more. And then we don't do it, and, well, we're just sitting down here crying about maybe
Fortunate.
not even making playoffs.
Yeah. No, yeah, totally. And it's difficult. And I'm sure it's difficult for the players themselves. I mean, like the comment said, I mean, what kind of message does this send to the youth ranks? You know what I'm saying? Tucker, would you like to add anything on that?
Yeah, I mean, Hudson's right. Our academy is useless. Like I'm not gonna say that any of those players you mentioned are better than any of our midfielders right now, because they're not. But that also could be used as an argument, like we're not putting enough effort into our academy, because like Hudson said, there are a lot of teams that they promote from the academy. A player that we'll talk about later, if we want to talk about the Gold Cup, Matt Freese, NYCFC Academy, and he just saved 50% of the penalties in a quarterfinal shootout and guess the right way every single time. Like, there's good players that you can develop and promote, and we just choose not to. And we buy decent players, but you could save money and get quality players from our own academy on freeze that
Now,
don't affect the salary cap.
now, this is the comment here on screen. For those of you listening to the pod, I'll read it. It says, uh, more midfielders. You bring 3+ players and have Irvin Torres, Micah Burton, and other young players on the second team / bench. Then you have Columbus Crew, Philly, LA, New York City FC, Red Bulls New York, etc., starting and exporting young players. And we wonder why the academy isn't producing players. It starts at the top. What excuse me, what message are they sending to the kids? Worst is this team has not won anything yet. That's the comment that we're referencing this conversation from. And I don't know if people know this or not, but that account is of a coach that used to be involved with Austin FC Academy. So there's some weight to that comment. There is some weight to that comment, ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to share that for context for those of you watching and listening to the pod. Now, before we just switch the academy, the FCito conversation, I feel like I need to add this because it goes in line. It's a bit of breaking news that also hit social media today. We're talking about Nico Van Rijn. He and Austin FC2 have mutually agreed to part ways with each other after Nico expressed, well, he showed desire to return back to his home country, Spain. Now, of course, if you have been keeping up with, the Austin FC2 coverage that we've had on We're Austin TV, we haven't been to every single game. I know that I'd like to make it to a lot more, but we made it to a couple of these games to see the quality of Nico. His height is also something that has a lot of potential for the position that he plays. He was getting into rhythm. He had a goal for Austin FC. You could tell he was playing for the colors, playing for the badge. Not injury prone, always healthy, great partnership with Antonio Gomez. And he has to be looking around thinking, man, what am I gonna get a chance? Do I have to make a move somewhere? But Nico saying that he wanted to go back to Spain. He went to social media, said thank you to the club, said thank you to his teammates, and especially thank you to Brett Utley. And I mentioned in a comment, I said this is a huge miss for the second team, and potentially it can roll into being a big miss for the first team. Because I saw this guy making it one day to the first team, or at least maybe going to a preseason and having the opportunity to play for the team, maybe having that shot. He's not even going to get that, and it's just frustrating because the pipeline is. I guess they're still building it. It's still not producing yet, and I'm just upset because. And last thing I will say, we wouldn't have found Owen Wolf if we didn't give a youngster a chance. Yes, his father was a coach. But he came from that system. He came from that Crew academy, all this and that, and he came up and he rose. And look what he turned into, right? Yet maybe he had a little bit of a benefit because his father was the coach. Sure, that does come into play, right? Connections in this world of football. But you got to trust your system or you will never know what it is capable of. That's all I wanted to say. I'd love to see, especially Irvin, get a chance. Why did we debut him against Colorado in 2024 if he's just going to be on the bench with Austin FC2? Why did CJ Fodry get a contract with the first team and he's disappeared? He's just bench riding with the first team. He's not even getting any kind of minutes or whatnot. And with Austin FC2, I mean, we're just wasting him there, guys. We're just wasting him there. And Huddy, if you want to add anything, man, I gotta take a drink of this water.
I mean, you're never, just like you said, you're never going to know if we have that next big player if you never give him the chance. I mean, I don't think Van Rijn was really ever going to be on the first team, but It's just one of multiple like messages that we're sending that are like there's not really a path there. I mean, we've terminated already 2 or 3 second team
Yep.
contracts this season, and most of the good players that we do have, we just let their contracts expire and they go somewhere else. You know, Sal Mazzavero and also like Cheek Toure, all these players. I mean, we just let them go. Why even have them? Get people that are gonna have the chance to come up. I mean, come on.
No, and also I think maybe the famous one, Huddy, and I'll get Tucker's take on this before we move on to some other topics, is Vigo Ortiz. He left the academy because he wasn't going to get a shot to the FC. I don't know if it was to the FC side or to the first team. And what he did is he went to Charleston Battery, and he just got his first professional start for them last match day. So congratulations to him. Is the message to, hey, youngsters, you got to keep a plan B because it might not work out through here. And that's not a good session. That's not a good message to send to these kids, to these youngsters. And hopefully we have something to show for here soon. But what I thought was going to be that is Irvin Torres. And I keep seeing him week in and week out with Austin FC too. Do these kids have to also put in something of themselves? Is the coaching staff thinking that maybe they're not doing 110%? I don't know, right? But from the outside in, I'm wondering why we're still not using some of these academy players, these FCito players into the first team. Maybe it just takes more time. Is that it, Tucker? Am I just being impatient? Does this need more time?
I mean, honestly, I don't know. I mean, obviously, not every single academy player is going to come up, right? I mean, we're not asking for every single academy player to be promoted ever, but like, there's been good players that we have let go that you can think like, yeah, they could have been the next Owen Wolf. That could have been Matt Freese. That could have been, a good player that we just let go. And it feels like it's happening every other week that there's some drama with the first team and, expiring contracts and like just poor management. And you think like maybe like you could just, instead of terminating these contracts, just send them on loan to USL, like send them out to get professional minutes, develop their skill level. And then if they're still, you don't think they're good enough for the first team, that's fine. Get rid of them. That's fine. But at least give them a chance by giving them a loan or something. Like give them any sort of chance at all. And they're just not getting any chance ever.
Yeah. No, I mean, even going back to, there's been situations where, remember Brandon Craig, everybody wanted him to get minutes or whatnot. That never happened. That was a weird one. But there's also like international spots came into play with Valentin Noel. They didn't think he was worth it. They still own 40% of his contract with the Las Vegas Lights or whatnot. But just to kind of close the Nicky Beloko topic, because we went on a rant. At the end of the day, we're gonna welcome Nicky Beloko with open arms because he's now the future, right? But we know in the back of our mind that somebody is probably gonna have to be sold or loaned or terminated or bought out. I don't know, to make space for what's coming for this Austin FC set. So Nicky Beloko, welcome to Austin, mate. Just like Hudson said, I really do think you're gonna come here to be a starter. And we'll see just what Rodo is cooking. He brought us Savovic, he brought us Biru, brought us Dessler, just to name some guys. And now you have Nicky Beloko arriving to Austin FC. So congratulations, mate. And hopefully you love it. You love it, you love it, you love it. But all right, guys, a little bit of the Sounders talk, right? Unfortunately, we got to talk about it. It was a 2-0 defeat. I heard multiple people went to bed because it was just a snooze fest from Austin FC's side. Seattle did their thing, right? I'm sure they gave a joy to the fans that they didn't give them in the Club World Cup. But how did you guys see this game? I was very frustrated, but maybe folks already heard my takes on that space. I'll try to maybe give you a different point of view from my side. But, Huddy, how did you see that game against Seattle, bro? 2-0, Ferreira got a goal, Muzovsky got a goal. I mean, we couldn't give Stefan Fry his huge achievement. How'd you see it, bro?
I mean, I was watching with Tucker, and before the game started, I said, O'Brien over Bukhari is not going to work. And lo and behold, he was terrible for the 55 minutes he played. He wasn't terrible, but he didn't do what Bukhari can do. And the second Bukhari came on the pitch, instant turnaround. Yeah. The momentum went our way. They didn't score anymore. We had way better chances. I mean, terrible decision to bench one of our best players at the moment. And the goals, I don't really think the first goal, that was Biru's fault. He left Ferreira. He stopped running. He stopped tracking back, and he scored. But aside from that, I don't think anybody had a particularly bad game, but nobody had a great game either.
Mm, okay. Okay, Tuck, anything you would like to add on to that? Kind of general thoughts before I get it, some charts, maybe some more detail on here about that game. How did you see this tuna defeat? I mean, Huddy kind of hit some points there.
Yeah, look, I mean, it was bad. I mean, to bench Hudson said one of our best players. If we're honest with ourselves, Bakari is our best player right now. He is like I don't even think it's a debate. He is our best player. And to sit him on the bench for this match it was a mistake from the start. And our back line, it seemed like, was tired. Biru looked gassed the whole game. I don't know what he was doing on break. I don't know what he could have possibly been doing at Disney World, but he was gassed. He was he was getting beaten by his man. Like, he was getting skinned alive by their winger. It felt like every time. And then he loses his man. Jesus Ferreira, bro, I hate that guy. Bro. I said to Hudson before the game.
Yes.
I said, I swear Ferreira only scores against us, and he scored against us. He doesn't score the entire. He sucks, bro. He's terrible, and he only scores against us, man. I hate that dude. But it was a poor game all around. And like Hudson said, Bakari comes on, and the game instantly changes. Like, he instantly is terrorizing their defense, like getting crosses in. I mean, it didn't make sense all around. We played so poor, and I don't think we're a good team. I think this match showed, like, Seattle has been playing against some of the best teams in the world for the last 2 weeks, and I think they did justice to MLS because they performed, and they did but even though they lost all 3 games, they played very well. If you watch the games, like, they played at a high level.
I agree.
And it showed last night. After playing against who they played against, they came back and made a statement that we're going to compete in the MLS, and we were just unlucky to be on the other end of it.
Yeah, no, totally. Seattle, I believe, had one of the best performances from an MLS side at the Club World Cup. You had Miami that made the round of 16. They got battered by PSG. By the halftime, it was over. And LAFC really just didn't exist at all in this Club World Cup.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say it, but they just didn't exist at all. Seattle, they had a good showing. They had a good showing, and if Pedro de la Vega had his shooting boots on, he could have had a goal against Botafogo, and it would have been game on, right? It would have been game freaking on. Seattle would have been maybe looking at a whole different tournament from day one. But that was something that a lot of Austin FC fans were banking on going in their favor, saying, hey, this Seattle side is going to be gassed. They're going to be tired. But just like Tucker says right now, the gassed players were somebody else. They were wearing armadillo colors. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were wearing the other green. And I feel like before getting into the Hadre and Bukatavi, because I do want to kind of dissect that a little bit more, the fact that the break affected Austin FC that much, I'm not going to say mind-boggling, because I understand the human side. When you come back from vacation or like a break, it's tough to get back into the rhythm of work. But you also were able to train, right? You also were able to practice and prepare for this match, right? And as a soccer player, you are seen as in a way different light. I understand that 100%. But it was just a little concerning to me how Austin FC was the rested team, but ended up looking the team that was just ran off the field.
Can I say something real quick?
Of course.
Look, I don't think the break affected us. I think we're just not a good team. Like, we not only have the teams that we were building form off of, they're bad teams. Like, they were not good. They were in not good runs of form. Like, Colorado had built a good run of form when we were going up to or no, it wasn't Colorado. It was New York. New York had like 4 wins in a row. But before that, they were bad. Like, they were losing pretty much every week. Like, they were not a good team. Colorado, not in form. They had some injuries. Like, they also were not a good team. And we took advantage of that. But they are bad teams. And all of the good teams we faced this season, we've lost to. Like Seattle, we've lost. LAFC, when we beat them, they were very poor. Now they're back in form and doing good. But they won like 1 game in their first 7 when we played them. Like, they were bad. We have we've spent $30 million, and we have not had almost 20 games in, and we have not had a single game where you can say, yeah, that's Austin FC. Yeah, that was a statement win. It hasn't happened.
I agree with that.
It hasn't happened. There's been nothing in the first 20 or so games to say, yeah, we're going to go on and push to win a trophy. There's nothing. We're not a good team.
Hudson, you wanna chime in on that?
Yeah. I mean, going into this game, I said it last time I was on here that I thought it was easily winnable, right? Not only were we coming off 2 decent wins, but Seattle was coming off 6, probably the hardest 5 or 6 game streak in the entire world at this point. They played the top 3 teams in the West and then played PSG, the Champions League winners, Botafogo, the CONMEBOL winners, and then Atletico Madrid, right? And I just thought there was every recipe for us to go and win this game. Seattle's also having an injury crisis. Half their team is out with injuries. They had 2 suspensions. Their left back Nuhu was out, and John Bell was gone too. They only had 1 starting center back going into the game. They had to play Alex or Christian Roldan, one of them, at center back for the first time ever. And we don't even do anything. They're playing with a makeshift left back, and we're going to go drop our best right winger. Tell me how that makes sense.
You know what I said to that, mate? I said that is a sign of Schmetzer and Seattle having a system. Because when you have a system, it doesn't matter who is there. You can plug in somebody as long as they know how to play that position and the role, the system will work. And just kind of like, I feel like that's kind of like what Tucker's saying. Like, we don't have a system. We don't have an identity where you can say that's how Austin FC plays. It's like 3 steps forward, and sometimes it's 2 steps back, but sometimes it's even 5 steps back. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like this Seattle game it was just a gut punch for a lot of FC fans that were thinking that they were building something, and the team just like, this is a reality, low key, guys. And I mean, Hudson, sorry, I kind of cut you off there, but go ahead.
No, it's all good. But one thing we can't forget is Biru trying to just score an own goal on us. He smashed it onto the post. We can't ignore that.
Me and Hudson were watching that, and we were just shocked. We thought he scored it. Yes. I mean, that would have been a proper finish that our forwards aren't doing. That was, dude. I told Hudson what that happened. If that had gone in, we would have been on one of those. Look at how bad MLS is.
Yes.
Year. Again, because we were when Kip passed the ball back.
Yeah.
It's just not good. It's not good for our image. But okay, getting into the Hader O'Brien and Osman Bukhari topic, because it really made a lot of people upset. And I feel like that's maybe the biggest takeaway from this match. You lost, sure, and we can talk about the goals here a little bit because of the defense just kept backing up. But we can go we can insert that topic in this conversation. We have the starting 11 here on screen. Of course, you had Hader O'Brien start over Osman Bukhari. You had Mikkel Dessler, Svatok, Heinzek, and Bito in the back 4, and skipped over them. But in the midfield, you have Danny, Salovic, and Gali. At top, you had Wolf and Brandon Vasquez. Now, here is the momentum chart. Now, after Seattle scored their second goal, you can see that there's clearly a change in momentum. Tucker, I think you know what happened. What was it?
I've been screaming for this all season. It's because Bukhari came on, our best player over the last month and a half, 2 months. And he changed the game. Just like I said earlier, I mean, he was able to absolutely tear up their defense. They could not control him. Every time he got on the ball, he got up the pitch, he got crosses in, he was making things happen. But it was too late. It was 65 minutes too late at that point. We were already 2-0 down. Like, it was too late. Yeah. We were never going to come back. This is also what happens when you don't have a 10. There's no one with gravity at the top of the box to free up Brandon Vasquez in the center. So center backs can just pile up on him and have no issues because we don't have any option in the midfield. Like, it's all around just poor managing and possibly poor squad building. Like, and it's not going to get better unless we sign a 10 in this summer window. Nothing's changing. And I don't see us making the playoffs. We just have to bank on the U.S. Open. We have to.
I'm like the hot Cheeto man. The smoke just came out of my ears, mate. But But Hudson, I want to ask you, mate, because you have a good amount of European ball knowledge. Just by looking at the scarves behind you, you could tell that you're a guy that, I mean, come on, look at that, right? Tucker also.
City Al Hilal are 2-2. Sorry to interrupt.
Whoa!
They're 2-2.
Whoa!
Kind of crazy.
That's
Kind of
incredible.
crazy.
Kind of crazy. But Huddy, I want to ask you, mate, was the decision to sit Bukhari because he got back late from break, was it soft? Do you think other managers in Europe would have done that? And I know it's different landscapes. I know MLS doesn't compare to what the stress they got to deal with in leagues that have relegation, actual consequences, right? We don't have that here. Very forgiving league. But was the decision soft, mate? Because I've heard of a guy named Danny Bouanga who went to international with his team, came back on the weekend, and scored the winner in that game. Why is this designated player being treated a little bit different? Soft gloves, kid gloves, or do you think it was handled well?
I mean, not only was the decision soft, it was completely the wrong decision. We had an opportunity to continue our momentum after the break, build momentum going into 4 games in 12 days, including the U.S. Open Cup game, which we really need to win at this point. And instead, Nico basically hands the 3 points to Seattle. I mean, nobody else on our team can create like Bukhari can. We saw that with the momentum chart, and there's nothing to explain that decision unless he's injured, which he wasn't. So
exactly,
yeah.
That's exactly what I said. Go ahead, Tuck.
Yeah, another thing people don't realize is like when Bukhari's on the pitch, teams can't attack as much because like the entire first half, Seattle were able to push their fullbacks forward and get more bodies in the box. When Bukhari's on, you can't do that because if your fullbacks are all the way up the field attacking and you give the ball away to Bukhari on a counterattack, he's gone. We're scoring a goal. You saw that happen against Minnesota. Minnesota pushed their fullbacks up and we scored on them on a counter because Bukhari was free. Like you can't attack as much when Bukhari's on the field. When you have Obrian, who's not a good player, on the pitch, you can push your fullback as high as you want, but Obrian's not scoring a goal on the other end of the field, right? He's not even getting a first touch off correctly. Like you can push your fullbacks and get more bodies in the box. You can't do that when Bukhari's on the field.
And also, Obi, he was just bad in this game.
He's always bad. He's always bad.
And it doesn't help that the last image that the fans had of Obrian was the New York Red Bulls game where he chooses to take the shot, and I get it, right? He wants his goals. He wants to earn his future contracts. But there was a pass from Mirtu Usuni, and since he missed the shot, since it was saved, it was a poor shot. You know, fans are going to bring up the fact that you had the option to pass it, and you know, I'd hate to let my mind wander and think what that does to a relationship in the locker room when you could have passed it and instead you chose to shoot it and you missed it. I mean, that creates a little bit of, hey man, come on, bro. And it's not like those two guys knew each other from the past. I mean, I don't even know if they even talked to each other or whatnot. You know what I mean? I mean, hopefully they're best of friends, but
they're just coworkers.
In a they're just coworkers in a workspace environment. I mean, frustration can start to creep in those kind of moments, man. 100%. But one of the things that I just wanted to add, I said it about the New York Red Bulls, the fact that Obrian didn't, elected not to pass to Mirtu. But is there anything else that you guys would like to add on, the topic of Bukhari and Obrian before we talk a little bit about Dessler, because I feel like we need to.
Yeah. I mean, I think everything's been said. Bukhari's our best player. Like, he's undroppable, and you dropped him, and we got punished for it. And you can even, I mean, even on momentum chart, you can literally see the minute he comes into the game, all of the momentum is our way. I mean, you have it pulled up on screen right now. We have all the momentum. Like, it's as simple as 100%. That. Bukhari is our best player, and he changes the game. And you benched him, and this is the consequences. Now,
you paid the price, 100%.
You can argue that one player shouldn't have this much of effect to where if you drop him, we lose 2-0. So you can look at other factors, and there were other factors. I'm not going to say it was only Obrian starting, but I'm just saying things would have been different if Bukhari's on the pitch. It's as simple as that.
I agree. No, I agree, man. Well, now, here are some words. Here, Huddy, did you want to add anything, mate?
Yeah. I mean, if Bukhari's fit enough to play 40 minutes, then he's fit enough to start the game. And maybe take him off at 60 if he's really tired. But, I mean, I don't know what we're doing.
I agree. If there was no injury like Mirtu, which we handled that well, we had him questionable and he sat out, great. If there was no injury with Bukhari, he should have been starting that game. I think all the Austin FC fans out there will agree with that take as well. But here on screen, guys, we have some words from Coach Nico. He says that he thought that he says, I think this game is very easy to analyze. We made 2 mistakes and the opponent took advantage. I think we had a good start to the game, right? Now, the 2 mistakes that he says that Austin FC committed, was it the mistake by Dessler to just track back, and allow Rothrock to get the cross in that found Ferreira unmarked because Biru didn't track his man? Is that one mistake? And is the second mistake when Svatok decides to just track back, allowing Muzovsky to get into the box and then get a shot off that kind of was maybe mishit, but it does catch Stuber a little bit off guard. He stays flat-footed and it goes off of the post. It was rightfully placed. I don't think he could have placed that better with his hand. I'm talking about Danny Muzovsky, a guy that hadn't scored in 8 matches. I mean, are those the 2 mistakes that Coach Nico is talking about that Seattle took advantage of? Hudson, you think those are the 2?
I mean, yeah, it has to be. But I want to talk about him saying that that we started the game off well.
I was just gonna
our
say
game didn't even start until we brought Bukhari on. It was terrible. The whole first half, maybe I think we had 0.27 xG. We couldn't even force 2 shots on target the whole game.
We had 0.04 xG.
Yeah. I mean,
they pulled it up on the stats.
We didn't even start until after the second half.
Yeah, Nico doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, the third mistake on the pitch was having this guy as in a job. Like, I can't stand him anymore. It's so annoying. We're slow. We can't score, and he always comes out in press conferences saying, "Oh, we played good besides these 2 mistakes." We don't play good. We don't. We never play good. It took us 6 games into the season to score an open play. Like, he's not a good manager. And every time he comes out in the press conference, he's just like, "Oh, we played good. We played good." We didn't play good. We never play good. Admit it. We don't play good. It's so annoying.
My G Tuck, very, very frustrated with the gaffer's words there. And he definitely has a lot to explain. Now, those 2 mistakes, hopefully Mikkel Dessler and, Svatok, if I'm attributing them right to the right person, got to be, fixed up, things that have to be, corrected or whatnot. But hey, right now, it is what it is. The mistakes were committed, and Hudson and Tuck are very, very critical of what Nico Esteves had to say about starting the game, right? And just like the momentum chart that we have here, good start. It's difficult to say, Coach. Difficult to say. But, gentlemen, one of the last Austin FC topics that we're going to touch up on today, of course, we hit a lot of the news early on, but the salaries. This topic just came out. It has social media, kind of going in frenzy in the Austin FC community. You have the Austin FC salary numbers that came out. A lot of people were waiting on this. It is here now. And you have the top 5 here on screen. Brandon Vasquez, Mirtusuni, Bukhari, Julio Cascante, who is your lone TAM player this year, and Robert Taylor, who doubles his salary from Inter Miami. Gentlemen, the top 3, probably you could see it coming, right? They're your designated players. They're your DPs. It looks like that money that you're using on Brandon, Mirto, and Osman is what you paid Sebastian Drusi when he was with Austin FC. So at least there's something you can celebrate from an FO, from a financial point of view, that, hey, we went from having one of the highest wage bills to now having the 8th lowest in MLS. I don't know if that's something you can hang your hat on. At least maybe I'm seeing it as a bit of a positive. But Tuck, if you could just take us through what you thought about when you saw, all the numbers come out, and then you see here the top 5.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of question marks, to be honest. I mean, why Julio Cascante deserves $850K a year, why Robert Taylor even deserves to double his money for Miami when he's 30 years old and only declining. And he's not even really played. Like, he's a rotation player. Like, it's strange. And, like, I know Cascante is why am I forgetting? A Reina contract. Like, I understand that. But still, like, even like the O'Brien, he makes a lot of money and he doesn't live up to it. Robert Taylor makes a lot of money, not living up to it. And, like, I think the only players playing worth their wages right now are Vasquez and Bukhari. I mean, if Bukhari could have had 15 assists this season if our forwards knew how to score goals. Sorry, Bukhari, not Vasquez. Vasquez is getting into form. He's scoring goals. Like, he had a slow start, but he's getting there. Zuni, y'all know what I think about him. I don't even need to say anything about that. I mean,
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate you. I thank you for that for your honesty and for your concern.
Yeah.
But Hudson,
Yeah.
mate, I mean, ATXFC news. I mean, what is the point of view of the gentleman that runs ATXFC news? I mean, how did you take this information in? You know, top five, and then all the numbers it hit the screen. I mean, how'd you see it?
Look, I'm not the club banker. I don't care if we spend the most in wages or we spend the least in wages. What I care about is if we're winning, and well, we're not doing that. So we see players like Cascante, Obrian getting overpaid. See you later. Get them out of here. Get someone on lower or higher money who wants to actually play and wants to win games. I mean, the numbers don't really matter that much. The mentality matters more.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that. I like that actually. You know, some people do say, hey, you know, why are you pocket watching or whatnot? But also these numbers, they have their importance. They have their weight in the league that cares so much about the salary cap, right? But you know, but just like you said, I mean, nobody cares about this when you're winning games. It's when you're not winning games that these topics matter for a fan base. Like, why is this guy making this much? Why is that guy making that much? You know what I'm saying? And you know, we're not here pocket watching or anything, but like you said, Hudson, I think that's very smart that you said that. I think when teams aren't winning games, these are the things that matter, unfortunately. And if Austin FC is winning games, nobody would bat an eye at how much some of these guys are, you know, getting paid. And of course, all this information is public. If you're listening to this pod, you can go ahead and check it out. Not only just Austin FC, but you can find out what any player in MLS is making. So I highly, you know, encourage you to go do that for yourself. Make your own research, make your own conclusions, and the world will be a better place. But Tuck, anything else you want to add on to the salary talk before we, you know, almost close out?
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason nobody talks about this is when we're winning. It's because when we're winning, everybody's contributing. And when we're not winning, a lot of these players that are making a lot of money aren't contributing. And that's kind of the big factor. It's as simple as that. And at the end of the day, we pay these players contracts. We pay their wages. Their wages come from our money. Like, if we're not going to the games, they're not getting paid. It's as simple as that. So, I mean, it's as simple as that. They need to perform to their levels.
Hudson, I see you over there shaking your head, mate.
Oh, well, MLS pays their contracts except for the DPs, but it does come out of our salary, so it is still something that we're kind of on the hook for. But
I think Tucker means that it trickles down, right? Somehow, some way, it trickles down, right?
If we weren't going to the games, we wouldn't be a club, and MLS wouldn't be paying their contracts.
100%. The fans ultimately is what matters the most. And one thing that I really admire about the Bundesliga is how much respect they have for the fans. I mean, if the fans make a protest about clubs wanting to raise season ticket prices, I mean, you've seen the kind of reaction that the people of Germany have given the Bundesliga when they try to, you know, pull that off. And Hudson makes a really good point. Of course, I always forget to mention it because by now I'm so used to it. But there's people that are barely getting into MLS or at least making an effort this year of understanding more of the salary or whatnot. But you see the million next to these three players, Vasquez, Usuni, and Bukhari. But remember that against the salary cap, they only count around $625,000. So you can pay them whatever you want. They only count for just a couple 100,000. Well, almost a million. I say a couple, right? 600 and 700,000 against the books. So that's why you can pay them so much money. And Anthony Precourt, you know, he pays them the rest against the books. It's only, like I said, those $600,000-$700,000. And Cascante, that's one that definitely sticks out. You'd think, guys, you'd think, nothing against the guy. I'm sure he's a great human being. He's a son. He's a father. He's a husband. You know, I'm sure he is a great person. But contract-wise, it's one that Austin FC has to move on from as soon as they can. It's just the reality. It's just the numbers. And you could get two center backs for that price. I mean, it's just reality. It's just reality. But guys, before we get out of here, right, I do want to give credit and the props, their flowers, to Brandon Vasquez and Brad Stuver for their all-star selection. It is official. Nico is taking these two lads on a short trip to Q2 Stadium here in Austin, Texas. This is where it's going to be. And, of course, along with that, you got the all-star jersey that is being dubbed as the birthday cake kit. I've heard the concha kit. I've heard Mexican sweetbread kit. All of it except fire. But we are apparently waiting for a shirt sponsor. So it's not going to be Target. At least I don't think so. So could it be, Chevrolet? Could it be F1? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But it looks like the All-Star jersey is still waiting for a sponsor. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean that Leo Messi is going to play and they're looking for the highest bidder? I'm having conversations on the outside with people that are updated with the situation, and they think that that's what's going to happen. And of course, Messi was called up. His name is on the list for players that are going to be at Austin. Anything can happen. Last year he was injured. That kept him away. But you'd think that Messi, with all his money being tied in with Apple TV and MLS and him getting cuts from here and there, you'd think that La Pulga Leo Messi is coming to Austin, Texas. So I got to ask you, Hudson, are you excited for this All-Star game, and are you happy with the Austin FC representation?
I don't really care about the All-Star game that much.
What?
I won't be going. The ticket price is way too much, as usual. But as far as the picks, I think no disrespect to Brendan here, but the only reason we took him there is because we put him on all the advertising stuff. And if you're going to put someone's face on everything, well, he better be there. But definitely Brad deserves it. But going to the game, no, I'm not paying $100 to watch a glorified friendly. But it's not even between two teams. It's between a bunch of players. They're all going to get subbed out at halftime. I mean, I don't really see the point of it, honestly.
Fair. Hey, that's honestly a take that a lot of people out there are, thinking about, and also having themselves. I bought my tickets when they were $70, so I'm really patting myself on the back for that. And I got some All-Star Skills Challenge tickets too, just in case I wanted to check that out as a fan. But Tuck, I gotta ask you, mate. I mean, we were talking about it the other day, and you kind of gave me Hudson vibes. It seems like, hey, if I make it, I go, but if it's high ticket prices, I'm not interested. You know what I'm saying? That's the vibe I want.
I think the ticket prices kind of ruin it because it doesn't mean anything, but when it's in your city, it's a fun thing. You know what I mean? Like, it can just be a fun thing to go see. Like, I will never really watch the All-Star game, but it's in Austin, right? So I want to see it. It's just kind of one of those things. But I mean, ticket prices it's kind of crazy. And that just kind of ruins it. But I mean, it's just fun. It's nice that it's in Austin. It'll be cool to see all these different players. Like, Evander is a player I really like. Like, he's a player I wish we got instead of Azuni, especially because we could have gotten him for cheaper than Azuni, but that's another conversation. But I really like Evander as a player. Like, obviously, Brandon Vasquez will represent Austin. Messi will be there. There's a lot of good players that are just fun to watch. That's all it is. And I like the kit, to be honest. I mean, people think too deep of the kit. It's a kit they're going to wear one time. You guys really want it to be the nicest kit you've seen in your entire life? They wear it once. It's a nice, clean kit. That's it.
But for 150, 150?
Oh, it's $150.
It's 150, mate. It's $150 for the authentic.
It's not even worth
15.
I mean, it's not worth it to buy it, but like, it looks nice. I'm not saying go buy it, but it looks nice.
Yes. What I want to do is I want to at least get one. The thing is that since we're in Austin, for us, it's historic. Like, the All-Star game is coming to Austin. So I would like to get the jersey, maybe frame it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe have it like that as a memory that in 2025, that game came to our city. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it's not just
never would have happened 6 years ago.
Exactly. And also, we're talking about MLS. There's a whole nother Liga MX that has a bunch of stars like Sergio Ramos, James Rodriguez, Henry Martin, Alexis Vega, just to name a few. Rigoni, my G. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's going to be a really good time, but some people will be priced out. It really freaking sucks, but it's just the way that soccer works in this country. And just think about it. If you're buying your tickets right now because you're comfortable that Messi's going to be here, let's say you want to take, like, let's say you have a son, right? Or you go with a brother or something. $200 for each of you. That's $400. Let's say you both want a jersey. That's $700 now, right? Because you're $300 in for both of you guys. And then what you eat in there and whatnot, you're looking at maybe another $100. It's close to $1,000 what
Yeah.
some people might spend watching the All-Star game here in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
Just to give you a heads up. And not everybody can afford that, but there is people in Austin, Texas that can afford that very, very easily. And I feel like that's the kind of crowd you're going to see at Q2 Stadium that day. There's going to be a huge chunk of folks that maybe should be at the F1 or folks that, should be watching the like Brad Pitt movie or whatnot. But anyways, you guys know what I mean. La Raza out there is probably thinking like, I'm not going to go watch that game. Some people actually, they're probably going to go to St. Edward's to watch Liga MX train because they will be at St. Ed's, and it's kind of viewable if you have like binoculars or whatnot. So just keep an eye out for all the details coming out. And yeah. But guys, we've come to an end of the pod. Is there anything else you guys would like to add before we get out of here? I mean, we got Club World Cup going on. We have Copa Oro going on. But there was a lot of Austin FC topics to get into, so I wanted to hit that really good first. But Tuck, if you want to sign out with some words on your Chelsea Blues, go ahead.
Yeah, we won even when FIFA tried to rig the game to make their competition more interesting. Like the weather delay, I mean, I understand, but there's 5 minutes left. Like, just play it out. And we got the job done. Pedro Neto is having a career-defining tournament. 3 goals, 3 games. He's playing out of his mind every single game. Like, he's by far been our player of the tournament. Caicedo is the most underrated player in the world. I mean, I've never seen someone survive. I've never seen someone walk off an ACL tear. Like, if you guys saw, if anybody listening to this is a Chelsea fan and was watching that game, they'll know that Caicedo looked like he just completely ripped out his ACL, and he walked it off like it was nothing. And we're playing Palmeiras in the quarters. Estevao, who is going to join us in 10 days when he's done with the Club World Cup. It'd be an interesting storyline if he knocked us out, but I don't think he will. I think we'll get the job done, but it's been exciting.
Tuck, Chelsea is the 5th highest earner of the Club World Cup so far. They've earned $40.5 million. I mean, how are you gonna like show that off for the Arsenal fans, for the Tottenham fans that are hating that they're not in this? I mean, there's money to be made in this tournament.
It's as simple as that. We paid off Liam Delap in a week. It's as simple as that. And all of the people that hate on it, every single one of them, their club's not in it. So just hold that.
Dude, hold that. Now, Hudson, you got to chime in on this, bro. Now, I don't know if you have a horse in this Club World Cup race, bro, but, there's definitely positives.
Well, I don't hate it. I think it's interesting. I've been watching all of them. I'm watching this City game right now, right here. But I don't know. I still don't think it's necessary. I mean, it gets a lot of prize money, but I think FIFA are just like throwing money to say that the tournament actually means something. And speaking of that money, the commentators need to stop mentioning how much prize money. I was watching the Chelsea game. They mentioned how much the winner gets like 7 or 8 times. It was every 5 minutes. He was like, the winner gets 13 million. The winner gets 13 million. Shut the up. All right. I mean, like, we all know they're getting money. We don't need it told to us every 5 minutes.
It's almost like they think we're there in person and we're like, come on, guys, like, let's go. It's like if you're hitting the horse, like on the back, you know what I'm saying? Like they should scream that in the stadium, like get the players motivated, like 20 minutes left to make $13 million. But no, Hudson, I totally agree with you, bro. Maybe the commentators are being told to do that. I mean, they were being told to freaking advertise that Jake Paul fight like there's no tomorrow.
So many times.
I know that is really
nobody's watching boxing. We don't need it. Every time they sub someone on, it's either the Capital One credit card, that stupid anime ad, or some boxing fight, and no one cares about any of it.
Yeah.
Hey, look, at least we can say this. Shout out to DAZN or the Zone for giving us the Club World Cup for free. At least we can appreciate them for that.
Yeah.
We can appreciate them for that. I can't tell you how many times, bro, I can't tell you how many times I've told people like, hey, the Zone is free, right? Because they always say, hey, bro, you have a link for the game? Yeah, DAZN.com. Like, literally, it's free. They're like, oh, man, I didn't know. It's free, bro. But anyways, guys, thank you for being here. My G Hudson from ATXFC News. Like I said, if you haven't, hit them with the follow. Make sure to get on social media, Instagram, Twitter, all the platforms out there. Make sure to follow my G. A lot of good stuff. covering this team. Substack as well. Yes, if you can plug that in, bro.
Yeah, it's substack.com/Austin FC News, spelled out like that. And then, yeah, just subscribe. I do articles for every game. I'll have one out tomorrow for the Nicky Beloko signing, and even more for the 2026 season. I have a lot planned.
Let's go. Shout out my G Hudson. Love it. More coverage for the Austin FC community. Anytime you'd like to come on here, bro, this spot is yours. And of course, shout out to my G Tucker. We're Austin TV correspondent. Helps us out a lot over here. Either it's on Spaces or we're on fan reactions, or like you see him here on screen today covering the Austin FC topics, news, and matches here on the podcast. So, my G Tuck, appreciate you being here. Hudson, thank you for being here as well. And we'll be back next week to talk about whatever happens in the Austin FC universe. So, until then, keep an eye on the Club World Cup. Copa Oro is there. Stay away from Jake Paul fights, and we'll see you soon.